My brain bucket inbox is getting too full. I gotta offload and empty it so I can get some new incoming messages from the big giant head. So I'm gonna talk about a lot of stuff. First off, first two subjects. One, it seems like they kicked off this disclosure process, which means there'll be disclosure of technology that makes oil obsolete. About a month after the petrodollar collapsed. Because multiple countries simultaneously made decisions that they're going to start buying, selling, and trading oil in currencies besides US dollars. And for a long time, somehow we convinced everyone to only buy, sell, and trade oil in US dollars. And that's why they call it the petrodollar, because it's directly linked to oil. When the value of oil goes up, the value of the dollar goes up. When the value of oil goes down, the value of the dollar goes down. So, when this new technology releases and oil is worth zero, the dollar is suddenly worth zero. A couple months within the last few months, multiple countries, up until now, if a country went rogue and said, I don't care, we're going to start buying, selling, trading oil in our own currency, they got bombed. Saddam Hussein had the gold-backed dinar that he was going to start buying, selling, and trading oil using that currency, and you see what happened to him. Other countries have followed suit. I think Libya and Gaddafi, he was going to start using some other currency. So individually, we go bomb you into the Stone Age if you break our monopoly we have here. But when all of the countries all at once give us the finger and say we're going to start buying and selling and trading oil with the Chinese yuan and these other currencies, there's not much we can do about it other than say, okay, we're going to release the 0-point technology where oil becomes obsolete, along with all of the cars. A lot of industries suddenly become obsolete when this new 0-point technology is released, also known as free energy. That collapses basically the whole worldwide economy. You guys are going to collapse our economy by buying, selling, trading oil in some other currency? Suddenly, when that happens, all these dollars come flowing back into the US, and we have hyperinflation unlike anything the world's ever seen. Because suddenly, this country says, okay, we're going to exchange our dollars that we are holding for this other currency that we're now going to use to buy, sell, and trade oil. Here, have your dollars back. Here, have your dollars back. All of these countries do this simultaneously, and we're sitting on a pile of dollars that are worth nothing. So as a countermeasure, we say, okay, then we're going to release the technology that makes oil worth nothing. How you like that, Saudis? And monopolize the new markets that will emerge around this technology that makes all the old technology obsolete. And they said, no, you won't. They said, you want to bet? Watch us. And we watched them kick off the disclosure project recently. So, next item. That cop in Las Vegas who showed up to the call where the kid reported 10-foot tall aliens in the backyard, he was in on the act. What is that? Oh, I saw that light up there. I was like, what is that floating in the sky above my shoulder? Giant bug. The cop was in on the act. You can see it from his demeanor, his countenance, his tone of voice, etc. In the real world, if police got sent and dispatched to a police report where they said there's 10-foot tall aliens in the backyard, the cop would show up with the intention of charging someone with filing a false police report. Probably would assume it's some TikToker, YouTuber, prankster trying to get views and clicks. Saying, watch this. I'm going to pull a Bart Simpson and stuff. I'm going to call the cops and tell them I got 10-foot tall aliens in the backyard. And when the cop arrives and starts asking questions like, okay, tell me what you saw, he would sit critically, analytically, and cynically and probably stop them halfway through their first sentence and let them know you're about to get charged with filing a false police report, so I suggest you be honest with me from this point forward. Instead, he shows up saying, it's called leading the witness. In a courtroom, even if it's your own client that you're defending, when you ask them a question, you can't kind of lead them to tell them what the right answer is, or the the opposing side says you're leading the witness, the judge will object. That's what the cop does when he arrives. Starts asking questions and leading the witness with the answer. What did you see? Because I'm going to be honest, my partner saw a shooting star earlier tonight. Even we, the tinfoil hatters, don't make such leaps. Stretching of the imagination, jumping to a conclusion that somehow that star that my partner saw has something to do with this, therefore I believe your story. But that's exactly what the cop said. What'd you see tonight? Because I'm not going to BS you guys. My partner saw a shooting star or something fall out of the sky. So, same thing when he pulls over the passing by car and asks them, did you guys see anything? Gotta be honest, because my partner saw something. Otherwise, I wouldn't even take this seriously. The cop is way too jovial, encouraging them, rather than scrutinizing them like a cross-examination in a courtroom, trying to shoot holes in their story, trip them up, and get them to contradict themselves and shit like that, which is what would happen in the real world if you or me call the cops and file a police report. They would show up ready to charge you with filing a false police report. And if you consider the possibility, most people can't even consider the possibility. But when you recognize shit like Sandy, you know, the school with the hook, when you recognize shit like the Twin Towers and the theatrics that people have been in on, this cop being in on this, responding to a report of an alien, that's nothing compared to the theatrics and the staged operations that have happened. Most people won't consider that possibility that the cop was in on it. But if you can, and watch that video again, it becomes painfully obvious. That is not a real police officer responding to a report of 10-foot tall aliens in the backyard. No cop would be that friendly and encouraging you and telling you right from the beginning how I believe you because my partner saw a shooting star. And therefore, I'm equating that shooting star with this. Somehow that is tied to this, and that's why I believe you. Such a stretch of the imagination. No one would make that connection. No one would be that indulging in such a story when they're the police officer responding to the report. Their dispatch is basically expecting you to file the charge against this kid for filing a false police report. Anyway, so I got a whole list of line items here. So the cop was in on it. That one was obviously bullshit, which is the kind of thing that they wait until they want to discredit the whole disclosure movement, and then they reveal that one as fake. They don't have to reveal that the cop was in on it. All they have to do is reveal that it's fake. The kid says, okay, I made it up. And everyone goes, see, that was fake. And so are all these other ones. And it drags down the credibility of the real ones when they find out the fake one was fake. I think that's what's going on there. Because there's two movements going on. There's been a regime change already. The regime that kept us in the dark for the longest time, let's just say back when Eisenhower was president, he met with the aliens. This is just a thought exercise. I'm not making any assertions or declarations here. Met with the aliens. Aliens said, you got 50 years to get these people up to speed. Let them know the real deal of their own existence. Here we are 50 years later, and they didn't do so. And they said, okay, well, we're going to let them know then. And the people in charge right now say, oh, no, you got to make a new deal with us. That was them. This is us. They say, sorry. So now there's two forces behind the scenes. Those that are pushing for disclosure and those that are pushing against it, who want to remain in power and retain their power. Those that are pushing for the real process and those that are setting up the fakes to discredit the movement, to co-opt it and hijack it and mislead it. And that regime change, I would say there's a good chance that already happened. The only remaining power structure in place is the humans that sold out the other humans. The very top of the pyramid of that power structure has already been dislodged. And the only thing that remains is all the humans that sold out and are still in positions of power and authority. So you got to give them an opportunity to show their true colors when they get a chance to make a decision. Many of them are dying to tell the truth. They regret getting involved in over their head in something they feel powerless over. Others, they will kill in order to maintain their power and never confess what they've done. So we're coming up on a point where I believe what Stephen Greer said, this is coming, when they give out an amnesty period to all the corporations and government officials and individuals who sign non-disclosure agreements. Those non-disclosure agreements are null and void because the company who you signed it for is operating illegally. So they put out an amnesty period, a few months, however long it is, for anyone with knowledge to come forward with what knowledge you have about the things that you've been involved in. After that grace period of amnesty, where you will not be charged, your finances will be protected, and we will even give you like a witness protection type security. During the amnesty period, you can come forward even if what you were involved in was illegal and not get charged with a crime. After the amnesty period, those that haven't come forth and revealed what they know and what they were in on will be charged. And at that point, those who took the offer of amnesty, so many of them have come forward and given us so many data points that it's real easy to connect the dots. And those that didn't come forward during the amnesty period are going to be real easy to identify. Why? Because 5 of your colleagues did come forward and they all named you as one of the operatives. So, this is going to have to be a regime change worldwide. And I've said before, regarding the implant, and we're going to get around to the sun tunnel, because that's real. And it will dilute the impact or the question of aliens in our existence. Our entire existence will then have to be redefined, a reformation of our whole self-image and worldview. But I've said before, I know we'll never get justice or reconciliation for the implant that I have, and I know 3 other people, 4 of us total with 6 implants. But I know under the current regime there is no justice, but there's a higher law. And when that higher law takes hold, I didn't expect it to be this soon. When that regime change happens and truth is suddenly pursued in a court of law, which is not the case under our current administration, under our current regime, the previous administration, and many before them. But when truth becomes a valued commodity once again, myself and the 3 other people that I know that have these implants, one has 1 on one side and 2 on the other. One person has 3 behind their ears. Myself and 2 other people have 1. 5 implants total. We'll discover that there are millions upon millions of these people with the same implant in the same location. The truth about the sun tunnel will be one of the disclosures. So it won't just be a matter of ETs. Under this new era of full and open disclosure, the sun tunnel is real. So are the airborne aircraft carriers. So are those black dot craft. By the way, in April, Pentagon official floats the idea that maybe a lot of these UAPs, these unidentified aerial phenomenon, are drones being deployed from a mothership. That was in April. This is a drip feed into the minds of the public. Hold on. I think they're just shooting a movie. There's quite a few cop cars though. But I thought they were going operational on me here. I walk past this every day. There's not those trailers. There's not all these cars. I think they're just filming a movie though, honestly. Anyway. So during this disclosure process, there will be more disclosed than we're not alone. So much more that it will make the fact that we're not alone almost seem minor, minuscule, and insignificant, far less significant, to the point where people are not going to be able to incorporate this new information with their current paradigm. It's not going to be everything about the world as I've always known it, plus aliens. Because it'll be everything about the world that I've always known, as I've always known it, plus aliens, sun tunnel, airborne aircraft carrier, black dot craft, plasma fires, microchipped population. With all of that disclosed, your previous operating system has to be just tossed out, start over from scratch. Because you cannot incorporate all of these things in with your preconceived ideas, your previous paradigm, your self-image and worldview. Because your previous paradigm was so incomplete, it's completely incorrect. You're better off starting over from scratch with your ideas of who I am, where I am. People have stopped asking the big questions: who are we, where are we, how did we get here? And they just go through the motions of life, assuming that such a thing will never be of any importance. And the only thing you have to do to be able to conceive of what's going down here is conceive of the idea that truth could ever actually prevail. That the powers that be and the intelligence agencies who keep a lid on everything and everything under wraps could suddenly lose their grip over the hearts and minds, and the truth actually comes out in all these different ways. That is the hardest part to imagine. You don't have to imagine the sun tunnel, it's real. They erased my channel over it. And when you recognize that that's real, and that if this disclosure thing keeps going in the direction that it's going, the sun tunnel will be one of the revelations. In this new environment of open disclosure, it will not fall on deaf ears. Along with plasma fire, airborne aircraft carrier, black dot craft, and the sun tunnel. Probably leaving one out, like the portal in the cathedral, but we'll leave that for another time. My point is, this regime change is basically going to be worldwide, because these corporations and intelligence agencies who are actually operating without borders of any certain country, they're transnational organization. It's a worldwide regime change. Many of these countries know what we're all about to find out and are resistant towards it. During the era of the slave trade, Europeans would go to Africa and they would not step 1 foot on the continent when they're there to pick up some slaves. The other Africans rounded up their fellow Africans, brought them to the water's edge to hand them over into slavery. So it is with many of the humans that have handed their fellow human beings, served up on a platter, implemented these control systems, including the educational system, the media, all of the people that are keeping silent about plasma fire. Those are all the institutions that were put in place to keep you enslaved, and there are none more so enslaved than those who falsely believe they are free, and that's all of us. What we're going to come to find out is that we were never free. Take the airborne aircraft carriers, for instance. Some people said, well, maybe they're ours. Ours what? You know, like black budget secret operation projects, and it was actually the United States military that built it. That's not ours. That's theirs, your slave master that you know of. We all know we're slaves, but we don't admit it consciously. So, I would say the top of the pyramid of the power structure that has been in place for a long time, the pinnacle of the regime, has already been dislodged. Otherwise, we wouldn't see this disclosure happening. And this new operating system, this new standard operating procedure that's being seen, this new operation that's underway, is being administered by the new regime, delicately trying to, it's a hostage situation. I've been working on a jailbreak. And the hardest part of this hostage situation is convincing the hostages they have Stockholm Syndrome so bad, they've convinced themselves that they're free. And here in America, we think we're so free that if anyone showed up on our borders, certainly they're just here to enslave us because we're already free. You can't wrap your mind around the idea that they're here to liberate you and you are nothing like a free person. That's the hardest part. The other part is the hostage takers, the cattle rustlers that I referenced in my previous video, just like any hijackers, hostage takers, they're willing to take all the hostages' lives before they allow themselves to be dislodged from power. The reason they don't is because that's their leverage, the human shields that they hide behind. So during this process, getting through to the hostages, I've said this many times, angels on the sidelines again, that there are forces at the perimeter about to blow down the door. And when they do, don't defend Jim Jones because you're in a cult. You've been indoctrinated. Thinking you're in the land of the liberty, home of the free and the brave and all that bullshit. But before they come and try to free the hostages, because the hostages are all programmed to retaliate and rebel and fight to their dying breath, defending what they believe in, their freedom and their liberty, and this is my planet and all that other shit. They've sent people in to talk to the locals, and they're drip feeding information to you, because otherwise, when they come to free you, you'll drink the Kool-Aid as soon as they, just like Master tells you to. He's pre-programmed us with everything you're going to see, and when you see all of that, no, that's the adversary. I've heard BP Earthwatch say it multiple times. You can't take the first train. The first ticket to ride, that's the adversary. That's the Antichrist. That's the devil and his minions. You got to stick around and wait till the real gods come. The first ones are fake, false. Satanic, Luciferian, demonic, fallen angels, interdimensionals. You got to wait for the second train to arrive. They've got you programmed. So, back to something I was saying a minute ago. When this disclosure process happens, there are people who have been dying to come forward and tell what they know. Many, many people like that. During that amnesty period, they will. And there are those who will fight until their last breath to keep from acknowledging or admitting to or being held accountable for what they've been engaged in. This process will separate those two kinds of people. A filtration, so you can show your true colors. The very top of the pyramid has already been decapitated in the old regime. The only thing left is the lower 3/4 of the pyramid of the power structure of humans that sold out other humans. There are those who will come forward and accept the amnesty and repent. And there's those who never will. And will try to kill all the hostages on board before they relinquish their levers of power and control. So we're in that process now. And I think that's what we're seeing. Both sides of that coin. The new regime kicking off a disclosure process to incrementally acclimate the hostages within the cult to the realization that they're about to have a whole new worldview given to them. And those that want to remain in power. So we got the Grush, the high-level intelligence official that's coming out saying, yeah, we got ships that are intact. We got the pilots' bodies. These are all non-human intelligences. And then you got the cops simultaneously. And, oh, we got a 10-foot-tall alien in the backyard over here. The high-level military intelligence guy has qualifications and reputation and credibility. The only reason you believe anything about that kid saying, yeah, I got 10-foot-tall alien in the backyard, is because the police officer lends the idea and the appearance of credibility. Well, the police officer believed it. Why should not? He seemed pretty convinced that there's something real here. they launch 2 disclosure processes simultaneously. That's the kickoff. It's game on from this point forward. There are opposing forces. They will imitate one another. That is what Project Bluebeam is about. To put forth the false disclosure, create false flags, say, oh yeah, these new guys that want to introduce themselves to you, they produce a false flag, say, oh, they did it. They created all that destruction. And imagine a reptilian whistleblower. They all look the same. Those who have turned against God and enslaved the humans and the rest of the kingdom of heaven, who are here to cultivate the consciousness. Hold on. I don't want these guys hearing about the reptilians. Imagine these reptilian overlords that we've heard so much about in every culture all throughout history are like a type 1 or type 2 civilization, so they easily rule over and dominate the humans. But the kingdom of heaven, the holy farmer, makes his rounds around all the petri dishes, and when it comes time for pole shift, you know he's going to be here for harvest, and they got like type 3, 4, 5 civilizations, easily able to overpower the reptilians. And so the reptilians know they got to split. And once the kingdom of heaven props us up on our feet, we got maybe 10 years to get our act together, and then they leave, and the reptilians come back. But for now, they got to split. That's what I mean. The very top of the pyramid is gone. The only thing remaining is the bottom 3/4. And through this process, they will separate everyone within that pyramid, that power structure, get them to reveal their true colors. There are some who've been dying to tell the truth about what they've gotten involved in, and those who will die to keep it a secret. I know this still sounds like crazy talk, because we're still at the very beginning stages, but here in just a little bit, if things keep going in the direction that they are, the sun tunnel will not sound crazy, because it is real. My page got wiped. Those airborne aircraft carriers, those are real. Well, maybe they're ours. They're not yours. They might be the slave master you serve. Those black dot craft are everywhere. Custodian file, he shows them all the time. He's shown that they are literally everywhere. Plasma fires, they might blame that on the aliens. That will surely somewhere be incorporated into this disclosure process. And maybe they attempted to get our attention. Fighting tooth and nail on the way up. Tell them the truth, but they think it's just made up. Gonna get their attention. Gonna teach them all a lesson. What we're doing here ain't just scary. It's about to be legendary. And they tried to get your attention. And if the whole world burning up around you from the inside doesn't get your attention, nothing ever would. They went to great lengths. Not trying to get your attention through the media that's controlled, but going around that media into your own neighborhood, right alongside the roadways and the thoroughfares that have millions and millions of people traveling them every day. And they couldn't. C-19 showed us that we're all slaves, and that there is a worldwide regime, everyone who worked in lockstep with one another, except for the couple of countries that didn't go along, like Tanzania and one or two others, and then their presidents quickly, mysteriously died. That showed us that we're slaves. C-19 did for y'all what plasma fire did for me. It showed you that the people around you are not what you thought they were. Prior to C-19, oh yeah, we're freedom-loving, flag-waving, Bible-thumping, God-fearing, gun-toting Americans. And we would never stand for anything like this or like that. No, that would be tyranny. We got constitutional rights and all that bullshit. You saw with C-19, they were nothing like what they portrayed themselves to be. Our true colors were revealed during that process. Sorry, I just had an incoming text there. Plasma fire did that for me. I could have never imagined a world where the world's burning up from the inside out all around us, no one notices, and those who do don't seem to prioritize it. You could have never imagined a world where everyone will take a mask and take a shot because they were told to, because someone said the word mandatory. You never thought you could see anything like that until you saw it with your own eyes. And that cleared out, that separated a lot of people based on their core character. And those people that went along with it, they're not going to be able to fare very well in the land of the free after we're actually liberated. They want to be slaves. They ran up to the water's edge and said, "Take me, take me."